She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties.
The day I met Mick, I left the bar with another guy.
I want it to be on the table.
Hormones are a bitch, aren't they?
This is not the life I would have chosen, but Nick would always be the person.
He's a sexual philanthropist. It is Vampire Diaries.
I think it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Hi.
What is this energy you're bringing today?
Well, my husband's being chaotic, so I'm trying to, be mellow.
That's not a role I would cast you in.
No, well, with Matt's Agent of Chaos lately, I kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
The local neighbors have been petitioning for a sound wall at the new dog shelter that's on the other side of, the back of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And every time they come through and ask him to sign the petition, he tells them in no uncertain terms, and then goes into the whole thing about how they should have thought about that when they were talking about building it and how they voted for it, and
What kind of dog shelter? I don't think I understand.
The Leak City Animal Shelter?
Oh, it's in your neighborhood now?
No, so they built it back where the police department is in Leak City. There's this big lot to kitty corner to it.
Uh-huh.
And it's there's this ravine between us and a bunch of land between us and the shelter at the back of the neighborhood. But a good wind comes through and you hear all the animals, right? The sound just carries. But I mean, they've been planning the shelter for a good handful of years.
Right.
And we even had to vote on it in the last election.
They needed to go down to their local planning committee, like the Bogans told them.
Yep.
If you weren't happy about
you would have went down. It was in the planning committee. I mean,
I have a dog story too. So we have a Saint Bernard.
Oh, I love Bailey. I've never met Bailey, but I love Bailey.
She's very lovable. Do you know what a group of Saint Bernards is called?
No.
A floof.
I love that so much.
Yeah. So she gets dirty, and her hair is long, so she needs a bath frequently. And really, she went a couple days past needing a bath, to be honest. And she had straight up syrup that had mohawked the top of her hair.
You live with stinky boys, so sometimes I'm sure it goes amiss.
Correct, which is how she ended up with syrup mohawked in her hair.
Sam?
And so, who knows? It was probably her. She probably saw leftover breakfast and was like, I'm going to have that.
Yeah.
You can't keep her out of food because she's the height of the table.
Right.
So,
right.
She doesn't even have to lift herself up. She's right there. So I gave her a bath yesterday, and it did take a little bit to get her in the bathroom, but it took Tom and I both to get her in the bathroom. But once I had her in the tub, she stood there like a woman that had a really long day and just needed that shower to wash all the cares away.
Clear her souls of all
I was waiting for her to put a paw up and start.
We have a glass of wine and you didn't provide.
Oh, I know. We have the boys have a shower head that's like a monkey, and it's affixed to the wall so that they can shower themselves. So I had it going, and she was just letting it soak in and take her cares away.
Clear her soul.
And then I blow dried her.
And I'm sure she poofed out.
And now she's shedding so bad.
I bet that takes an hour. Because that is a lot of hair.
Yeah, I didn't get her all the way dried, but I got her really close, and I had to buy her a new brush. So we've got hair everywhere right now.
Oh,
we're just
I've
collecting
broken brushes. Rocco had hair, not fur. Mm-hmm. So if it knotted, we'd have to get the detangling brushes. But I've broken brushes in his hair just because it just gets so intense. So.
Well, she's shedding right now anyway, so there's just hair everywhere. I pulled out of her, not with a brush, but just with my hands. I pulled a small dog out of her this morning.
I don't doubt it.
So, hey, you want to talk about what we're talking about today?
I'd love to. 1, 2, 3. Royal We.
Royal We. This is by Heather Cox and Jessica Morgan. And before you ask, this gets a 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
And that is a rarity. I do not do that. The sequel is called The Heir Affair.
Yes. Which was fine.
Not as good. It was okay. I gave it 4.5 stars. So
I am on chapter 27 in the audiobook because we are on a schedule.
Molly has not finished the book, but we've both read it several times.
Times. This is like my many call,
Yeah, this is 4 or 5 for me. And like we both love this book. I believe that one of the people, Rachel, my friend Rachel, who's in our book club, was the one that introduced me to it. I don't remember.
I think she suggested it for one of our group reads.
Did we read it as a group or did she just
I think she suggested it and then you and I jumped on it.
Yeah.
And nobody else wanted to read it. So you and I read it and just text back and forth furiously because that's what we do.
As we do. But it's such a good book. And so I'm going to give a synopsis.
Love it.
Okay. American Rebecca Bex Porter is attending Oxford University for a semester exchange program from her home college, Cornell. She is studying...
By the way, I have issues with Cornell, but I also grew up less than 40 minutes from there, so I hear it all the time growing up.
Seriously, you just scared the shit out of me. I was like, what the fuck happened?
Okay, back... Start over. My bad. Cornell. I'm giving poor April a heart attack.
You legit did. She is studying art history and fully intends to take the time away from her country, her parents, and her twin sister Lacey to immerse herself in British architecture. Instead, she finds herself immersed in the great love of her life, Nick, better known the world round as Prince Nicholas of Wales. Steve. Their story starts with a rain-soaked meet-cute where Bex doesn't even notice the future king and carries through their 7-year love affair, which includes several obstacles, including aristocratic socialites, drunken nights sleeping with friends of their inner circle, and even Nick's own brother, Freddie. The book starts on Nick and Bex's wedding day and takes you through the whirlwind of a relationship to see if the scandal hitting the tabloids on the big day will be enough to derail their love story for good. This book is hilarious love story as charming as the prince himself.
Facts.
So I mean, I really love this book. I think the writing is so smart and witty. And I read this book when I wasn't really reading romance yet. Now, we all know April has dove headfirst into
April
romance.
Loves romance.
I love romantic books, and I always have. But, like, honestly, this was one of the spiciest books I'd ever read because they have a cut to black sex scene. So, and then, of course, now I've matured. I've matured.
You're grown up now.
I mean, I was a grown-up when I read that the first time. I already had a kid. It's not like I wasn't having sex.
No, it's a book. Your book age up.
Yeah.
Aged book-wise.
Now I'm becoming one of those, like, middle-aged women with hot flashes who reads romance novels by the pool.
You're getting them. I'm definitely going to get them.
Well, I don't know that that's what's happening yet. I'm just saying. All right. So, this book begins at the end... Mm-hmm. And then flashes back to the 7 years that Nick and Bex are together before the wedding day. Did you like this writing technique?
I loved the beginning. You instantly you're defensive of Bex right away. You're rooting for... You don't even know what's going on. Mm-hmm. But you are instantly like, well, fuck that bitch sister of hers. I can't believe she did this.
You absolutely hate Lacey and you don't know anything about her. You don't even know anything about her.
No, and then when they go back to the past, you then are like, you hear how much Bex loves Lacey, so you're like, oh, Lacey can't be that bad. And then Lacey gets worse and worse as time goes, and it's like... But no, I like this. And I don't normally like when we're starting at the end and jumping back into the beginning. Yeah. I normally don't like that in a book because... I'm not the person that jumps to the last page, reads and I want to be surprised. Mm-hmm. So, but I like this. They handled it very well, I think.
I think so too. And I just want to say, to quote our friend Nurse Katie, Lacey is a twatopotamus. Like, she's just awful. But I think they did
Rex.
Right. Just don't be an ass. So I like that they flash back, especially because the story keeps your interest the whole time, and you really don't know, will they go through with it? Like, what will happen at the end? You also don't know what she did.
Right.
All you know is that she's supposed to be marrying the prince.
But you're automatically rooting for her and Nick to be together, right? Yeah. So I mean, having that meet cute right after is perfect.
Yes, that meet cute is like, oh, it's so perfect. It's her story is the fairy tale that all Americans who do a study abroad want to have. We all lie and say that's not why we're going to England. That's why we fucking go to England.
Beth and I used to when we were kids, and do you remember when in the Teen Beats and all that when we were younger, they had Prince and Harry layouts, and Beth and I talked about how, like, after she graduated, we would go over there and she had dibs on Harry and I would get William, and it would just magically happen. I mean... Teen us would, I mean, all teen girls did that back then.
Yeah, and I mean,
I'm glad I didn't. Homeboy is balding and kind of an ass.
He's not an ass. I would not say he's an ass, but he is definitely not.
I have feelings about Prince William.
Okay, well,
Angry.
He's definitely not the looker that he was in his.
It's not even about his looks. It's about his behaviors towards his brother, about his sister-in-law, and just.
I think a lot of that is tabloid nonsense. I don't think that that William and Harry were the problem. I think the problem was the media and how they treated Meghan.
And I also think Dad's part of the problem. Like, I think their father's always been part of the problem. I think he's always put a divide between those two. Yeah. I think,
I forgot to put this in like our notes and questions, but a lot of this book reminded me of Red, White, and Royal Blue. There was just so much to it that was like, oh, this is really like the story of the boys. Henry.
Secretive, just the secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Bex and Nick have a meet cute that is straight out of, a romance novel. Let's call it spade a spade. Is it believable that Bex wouldn't recognize Nick? Do you think you would recognize Prince William or Prince Henry if you met them?
Well, first, she was exhausted.
Prince Harry. I don't know why I put Henry, but it's Harry.
She was exhausted, right? Like, dead tired. She just got off a plane and she rode a plane, a train, and a bus, right, to get there.
I think she took a taxi.
But it was a long journey.
Yeah.
In exhaustion, we barely acknowledge our own spouses sometimes. Yeah. So for her to not instantly recognize the Prince of England, not surprising. I mean, they could have even given her a heads up. Hey, you're in the same bunk as the future King of England. Just kind of. I'm really surprised they never told her like that.
I really don't think, like, realistically this story would be possible. Like, they wouldn't just move somebody in there. No. That room would have sat empty.
And them having a dossier on her without her having any idea, bullshit. You have to consent to that kind of stuff. So, while it's unrealistic, it's adorable.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
So, do you think that if you met one of the princes, and like, if you saw them, that you would know it was them?
In her situation, absolutely not. I totally would have been ignoring them too.
I love that she talks about syphilis.
Well, and like the first thing he says to her is like, "You just came to England and you don't have an umbrella." And like, okay, I would have instantly been defensive and not want to be interacting with this guy.
It's not even worth having an umbrella in England because you just need a raincoat.
Right.
Don't even worry about an umbrella.
Right. Like, but the fact that, like, that was his first sentence, one of his first sentences to her, I would have been, like, pissy and not paying attention to dude either.
Yeah. Also, I don't think that either of his PPOs would have actually let him answer the door. It would have been like, nah, bro, that's not happening.
No. She could be an axe murderer.
Like, I want to believe that if I saw one of the princes in person, that I wouldn't, like, I might double take, like, was that, but I think I would
Right.
recognize them. Because I've been looking at their faces my entire life.
Right.
And also because I'm a bit of an Anglophile, and I follow the royal family on like all
Right.
social media. I love that stuff.
Right.
And I lived in England for 6 months because I love, the UK so much. So
Which
I want to believe that I would.
I would hope I would, but put it in her situation, in those like exact circumstances, I don't know if I'd be paying attention enough.
Well, and I think
about my mind would be just working on all the things I have to do once I get to my room,
Well, and I think that's just who Bex is. Like, she was not there. She wasn't there thinking, oh, I'm going to meet the Prince of England. She was there thinking, it's fucking wet and I want to go inside.
Right. Right. And it's late and I've been flying for fucking 24 hours. And yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about the first night a little bit more.
Okay.
So Bex goes home with Clive that night. And I want to side note here. One of my favorite things about this book is how these women end chapters where you're like, what the fuck happens next? Like, every chapter has a mini cliffhanger.
You don't want to stop.
Yeah, and the chapter where we find out she goes home with Clive that first night, it ends with a line that's something along the lines of, the truth about the first night that I met Nick is that I went home with somebody else.
Well, like with one of his best friends, or I don't know.
I think it's just somebody else.
We'll look
I think I have that one tabbed, but I'm pretty sure she just says I went home with somebody else.
He held my gaze and excited sure ran up my spine. I wasn't there to get married, but I definitely were for real. But the truth of the story, the day I met Mick, I left the bar with another guy.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so this starts sort of a casual affair before she actually ends up with Nick. And Nick is dating someone as well.
Right.
I almost said sociopath. Another socialite.
I mean, Clive is kind of a sociopath.
Yeah, but India Bollingsbrook isn't. She's just, a rich kid. Yes, she's just a rich person. So given that what we know about Clive at the end, do you think that that he went for Rebecca because he sensed Nick wanted her?
I think he really liked Bex. And I think she was something new and fresh outside of their group. She was somebody that didn't know him and didn't come up with him. Didn't know about his brothers and how they treated him. She has no histrionics. And that was a fresh page for him. And I think that's why he pursued her.
I think you're onto something with the fresh page. I don't think it's because necessarily he thought Nick wanted her. I think he thought for the first time he's going to get there first.
Right.
Because he spends the rest of the book.
Right.
He spends the rest of the book sleeping with all of his cast-offs. Like, that's what he does the rest of the book. He just sleeps with all the people that have already slept with Nick. But including Bex again.
But he had Bex first, right?
Right.
And it's a dibs thing, I'm sure, in his mind, right? Like, well, she was mine first.
Yeah. I don't actually have this question here, but I know you wanted to talk about it, and I actually do think it's a good time to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Actually, no. Well, okay. I've already started it.
Okay.
Well, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. We'll come back.
All right. I am a mess. All right. All right. Nick and Bex started falling in like. I'm not going to say love. They fell in like by watching the show Devour. Given the fact that they were both in a relationship at the time, was this time together appropriate?
I think they were friends. I mean, yeah, they dug each other, but they didn't think the other person had feelings, and they both kept it very platonic. It wasn't like they were cuddling. It wasn't like they were emotionally cheating. It wasn't. I think it was innocent, and I think their friendship was purely innocent there from the beginning, and I don't think anything was wrong with it.
But imagine being Clive and living in the same dorm as them, and you know that every night, instead of spending time with you, she's spending time with another guy, and you can hear them giggling.
Her boyfriends. They agreed it was casual. They agreed it wasn't anything serious. So Clive has no right to be pissed that she's friends with another dude.
But when she figured out that he had caught feelings and he wanted more, she should have ended it.
Right, but that was Bex being a coward. That wasn't.
It was 100% her being a
coward.
But
that doesn't mean what her that is apples and oranges, in my opinion. Like, Clive's feelings for Bex, Clive should have been direct and to the point. If he really had true feelings for her and he truly wanted a relationship, he should have been like, look, you're spending time with the prince. It's bugging me. I really have feelings for you. I want something more. But he didn't. And he was a coward and didn't say anything and waited till the Foxoween, which I loved Foxoween. But him not saying anything, that means it gave Bex a free range not to say anything.
Like, I feel like at this
stage, it's all problematic, miscommunication. Like, life was in your 20s and,
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I feel like now that was an inappropriate relationship. But in your 20s, I think you just kind of live on whims and alcohol.
I don't think their friendship in the beginning was ever problematic. It was innocent. And neither Bex nor Steve had any issues. Like, they had no bad intentions in mind.
All right, so random question. Do you think there's an American show that Devour is actually based on? And if so, what show is that?
I think it is Vampire Diaries.
I think it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, well, that makes sense too. Buffy. Buffy would make sense too. Well, when is this supposed to take place? The late 2000s, the early 2000s? Yeah, it's definitely Buffy then. It's 1,000% Buffy. But if it was set like more recent, then it would be Vampire Diaries, right?
I've never actually seen Buffy. I just know enough about it. I'm sorry.
It's Buffy.
Like, your face looked like you were going to come through the camera and cut me. That I've never seen. You know
how I feel about Joss Whedon's work. I'm not a fan of Joss much anymore. He disappoints me. But
it's fine.
All heroes do eventually, I guess.
Anyway.
All
right. The first time Nick and Bex hook up. Oh, the first time they hook up.
Oh,
and goodness. Really start their relationship. They're both already completely in love with each other at this point.
Of course.
So I want to talk about the scene at Thanksgiving. He made all of her favorite dishes to celebrate a holiday that he doesn't even celebrate.
I've never heard of biscuit gravy, by the way. I had biscuit stuffing before.
Stuffing.
I don't know. Stuffing. Biscuit stuffing.
I'm guessing
right now because
I'm guessing it probably, instead of using like
cornbread stuffing,
instead of cornbread, it's probably like the biscuit things, like the pops, like the biscuit rolls that you like pop open. I'm guessing that's what it is. I've never heard of it either.
Anyway,
I just sort of love the fact, we find this out later. I love the fact that when he called, he gets the Cracker Jack recipe.
Dad.
And
the Chex Mix recipe?
Oh, the Chex Mix. That's what it was. And her dad was like,
told you he was in love with
her. He's in love with her. He's in love with her. He's going to use the Chex Mix.
You owe me what he told his wife she owes him money, right?
Something, yeah. I think that's adorable. I think it's a really cute scene. It's like iconic to this book.
Yes.
I thought every time I read this, I think that they have sex on the table, but they don't actually have sex on the Thanksgiving table.
They don't, right?
They go into a bedroom, but I want it to be on the table. Like, I want that. I want them to have needed each other so much at that point that they just rip each other's clothes off and do it right there on the table, like with the biscuit stuffing next to them.
Biscuit stuffing and all, just rubbing it in.
No, Mommy, I didn't mean like with the food. Okay. What did you think about this whole scene?
Oh, it's adorable. I mean, we knew it was coming, right? We knew there was a reason he was asking her out there. He wasn't just asking her out to be out there, Yeah. And it just it was a long time coming for the book, in my opinion.
I like the way that they tell each other that they love each other. I like that she cracks, even though she doesn't
she just breaks and like yells it at him.
And then when he's like, I'm irrevocably in love with you, which is so Twilight.
Yes.
Fucking Twilight Line. But what I didn't like about this scene is like her saying, "You're my best friend." Like, you've known each other a minute. That is not your best friend.
No. Nightbex and
7 years.
Besties.
7 years down the road, they probably are best friends. But they met each other and they're not best friends 2 months later. Right. No, that's nonsense. No. That's 20-year-old nonsense is what that is.
Right. But, when you're 20, everything feels urgent, right?
It does, yeah.
Everything feels like your life is ending and you have to just, Hormones are a bitch, aren't they?
Yes. All right, let's talk about Lacey. Side note, you're very distracted today. Are you okay?
Oh, no, I was going through my notes from the episode on the audiobook.
Oh, okay.
Which is with Redhead Freddy has so many great little one-liners.
Yeah.
Like sexual philanthropist. He's a sexual philanthropist. And medicinal misbehavior. Those were like two italics.
Quality.
And he's got little zingers like that throughout the book, and it was just I wanted to talk about it.
I was misremembering that he didn't meet her the day after they had sex the first time.
No,
they were
it was
in a relationship. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking it was the next morning after Thanksgiving, and that would have been so much more embarrassing, I think.
But it's cute. It's cute nonetheless.
When they have their first meeting and she hits him and then he calls her killer.
He's like, easy, killer.
And then he calls her killer the rest of the book. And the
For
next book,
one strike.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. All right, let's talk about Lacey.
Lacey.
Am I rushing? Do you feel like I'm
good.
rushing? Okay.
We're good.
So we first meet Lacey when she comes to visit for their birthday, which actually is before Thanksgiving. Their birthday is the beginning of November.
I love this.
And they do a Foxoween because it's the 5th of November. So yeah. And Gaz decides they're going to do...
I love Gaz. He is one of my favorite characters in this book.
Well, I have a question for that later.
Okay.
So
okay. Sorry.
Chill your knickers.
Someone's very British all of a sudden.
Look, we read 2 British books in a row, and now I'm reading a book that's set in Australia. I am on the struggle bus with accents right now. Anyway, so we first meet her when she comes for their birthday. They're twin sisters. So if you haven't read this book, Lacey and Bex are twin sisters, but they're the quintessential twin opposite.
Yin and yang.
So they're that really cliche opposite twin thing. Honestly, that is cliche. Yeah, the opposite twin thing. And that's what they are. So Bex is really sporty and she doesn't really care about how she looks, and she dumped her laid back
in a trash can and
she's laid back and she's
Lacey's
also
prom queen.
And Lacey's going to be a doctor, and she's all the class valedictorian and all those things. She's
smarter than everybody else, and
they even do the thing where Bex has straight brown hair and Lacey has curly blonde hair because they just can't look alike either.
I think Lacey is a bleach blonde. I think it's never mentioned.
They don't ever say that because they talk about the picture where they're 7 and Lacey's a blonde and she's a brunette.
Oh, maybe I just missed that.
Well, it could just be that she
I'm autofilling.
Who knows? I don't know. But Lacey ends up being a central character in their love story for all the wrong reasons. Ugh, all the fucking wrong reasons. All right, so I just have a few things that I want to say about Lacey, but I don't know how to actually ask questions about these. I just feel like she's really a media whore, and we get this from her before she's even brought into the media fury that is Bex being.
I think
his girlfriend.
It's Lacey is been obsessed with the idea of being famous. She has always been center spotlight. When they went to high school. She was almost unanimously voted for prom queen, minus the fact that she voted for her sister and not herself.
Right.
I mean, they went to Cornell, which I grew up in less than 30 minutes from Cornell University my whole life, and it is such when authors want to talk about an Ivy League school and they think they're talking about an underrated Ivy League school, they always talk about Cornell. Bitches, it's barely a school. Y'all need to fucking calm down. Cornell's a great university. It's got a lot of great programs. But can we fucking stop making it this mystical, magical thing? Upstate New York is gray. It's not beautiful.
I actually have to say, I think it was a wise choice to choose a school like Cornell because
it's Ivy League without like being like
cliche,
I guess.
I feel like the more cliched choice would have been to choose something like Brown,
right,
or Yale,
or NYU, or whatever.
NYU. Yeah, NYU. That's the one that I would have thought they would have done.
Right,
it's very cliche
because med school and the arts and all that.
Right. But like from the jump, when Lacey comes over to see her sister, she's more interested in seeing Nick than she really is her sister,
because she's a fucking media whore and a stalker, right? And it's about seeing the famous people. I bet she's one of those people that goes to LA and like sits out in front of freaking famous people's front yards.
I mean, I can't say I probably would do that.
But
not because I want to be photographed, but I just want to see them.
Right, but you still acknowledge they are people, right? Lacey thinks if she just gets her foot in the door, she's going to be one of their people. They just need to recognize it. It's just, Lacey's used to being the center of attention. Yes. And as soon as Lacey's not the center of attention, she just fucking melts down.
And she tries to blame Bex for all of this. Like,
1,000%. The reason Freddie doesn't want to be with her is Bex's fault. The reason she can't be with Freddie is Bex's fault. It's just...
The reason that she feels so out of control is because Bex abandoned her at Cornell. And
yes, of course.
I mean,
because
all these things. She drops out of med school. Did you mean to ring that?
No, I hit it with my knuckle on accident.
She drops out of med school because Bex needs her. Never mind the fact that she doesn't even tell Bex.
Did Bex ever ask?
She doesn't even tell her that she dropped out. Bex found out that she was back in England.
Because of the damn opening of that weird-ass restaurant.
Because of a tabloid, yeah. One of Tricky Tony's...
Fuck Tony.
So she, like, makes photo ops for herself. She's a real media whore. She hooks up with Tony, who everyone has warned her about.
Is a drug dealer.
It's a drug dealer, and they get caught together, and then she flips off the paparazzi. Also,
again, this is Bec's fault, in her opinion.
Also, the club that he's opening in Paris is, like, royal themed, and she goes as Bex.
Yeah.
She goes as her twin sister. What the fuck?
It's fucking rude.
Oh. And then, of course...
I think part of Lacey's problem is she thinks Bex is living the life she deserves. So in her mind, Bex doesn't want this. Bex never wanted this. This is something I want and I need, and it's not fair that Bex gets it and I don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And the whole, we're a package deal. No. You're two different
surprised people. They went to college together. I'm really surprised their parents encouraged them to go to college together from the beginning.
I think even though Bex, they talk about how headstrong she is and how assertive she is, her weakness is Lacey.
Yeah.
It's always been Lacey. She's always taken a backseat to Lacey all the way even back to when they were like picking their rooms.
Yeah.
Like, She
just is used to caving. Well, okay, the first time I realized Lacey was never gonna, like, the first time I realized Lacey sucked, like, really sucked, is when Bex tells the story about them at school and Lacey cheated, and she just took the punishment for her. Like, she rolled over and just gave in to Lacey and her, and I was like, oh. Lacey just gets what Lacey wants. This is it, period.
And then, of course, in this book, the ultimate betrayal is that she tells Clive, who, spoiler alert, turns out to not be a good friend.
Terrible friend.
He's created this online
blog
called The Royal Flush, in which he basically just totally craps on his friend. His entire life. Yeah.
All of his friends.
Right. So Lacey tells him that Bex kissed Freddie, which was not an appropriate thing for them to do, but
terrible thing as a sister to do. Like,
well, it wasn't good that they kissed each other, but her going and saying that, like, wow.
She betrayed Bex, period, in that moment.
Right. But at the end of the book, Do you feel like she redeemed herself by getting Clive on tape for the blackmailing?
I think it's a start of redemption. Yeah, I don't think it was redemption.
I think it's I think it's a little cliche.
It's a little too late, in my opinion.
But of course, Bex being who Bex is, she forgives her, and like
because Bex is a better person than Lacey. Period.
Yeah, but even though they are able to get married, again, these are spoilers. Even though they're able to get married secretly, we still don't know what's going to happen the next day publicly.
Right. Not until the next book.
Yeah, we actually don't even find out if they officially do get married.
Or are allowed to get married, or what happens with the media coverage. We literally end off on some of the... It's probably one of the worst book, cliffhangers I've ever dealt with.
Well, and I think what's so great about it is, like, I didn't think they were going to write a sequel, and they weren't really writing a sequel. It was just like, this is where it ends. How do you think it ended?
Bullshit. It ends in bullshit. That's what I think to that.
That was brilliance. It was brilliance.
It was.
All right, so we've been talking about Freddie. So he's the playboy of the family.
Right.
He has slept with everyone, even B, who is
a sexual philanthropist.
He is a sexual philanthropist. Was it inevitable that he would have gone for Bex while she was single?
No, okay, so Freddie is not used to female friendships without more.
I don't think he has female friendships.
And I also think
Bex.
Right. And I also think he has never had a woman in his life that loves him just as is. That is a maternal, love that is just, he didn't ever get to know his mom.
Right.
He had nannies. His grandmother was the fucking Queen of England. So she doesn't get to be a normal grandma.
And he's the spare, not the heir.
And he's the spare, not the heir. His dad is a fucking rock of a human being who has no emotions. And I think he's not used to having platonic love. Mm-hmm. And when Bex showed him affection in a platonic way that was sisterly and how much she cared about him, he got confused. And with everything that's stacked against him, I think it was inevitable. You know? And
I think while she was single, they were still in each other's galaxy so much that I think they
were friends by that point, right?
Like that little slip up in the closet where they're drunk and everything is electric and they're in this tiny space and they're fumbling around and everything. Like, to me, that kiss made sense plot wise.
Right.
I don't think it was right, but plot wise it did. But I really, really, this is the big complaint I have about this book. This is the big complaint.
Oh, okay.
I really don't like that they kissed again, and not just kissed again, but that he told her he was in love with her and let's run away together and we don't have to be a part of this world anymore. Her brother is engaged to her, or his brother is engaged to her, and they're getting married. She's telling you she's frustrated as your friend, and you took advantage of that situation, kissed her, and told her you were in love with her. It was gross. It was inappropriate.
1,000%.
It created a love triangle that was not necessary. And this is coming from somebody who loves a good love triangle.
You do. It's one of your favorite, cliches.
It is. It's one of my favorite tropes. I love it. But in this case, it didn't work. And I want to allude to the second book for a second, because I don't think it doesn't go away. It's still there. And while Bex is trying to build just that friendship with him, he can't really do that because he's in love with her.
I really think, Freddie needed therapy, but that both the boys did, because their mom is literally just disappeared in front of them. Mm-hmm. But I really, truly think Freddie does not know how to separate female love.
Yeah, he doesn't. And he's never, even all the girls in his inner circle, like B says, everybody's slept with Freddie. Everybody's done it. He doesn't have female friends. He has people he hooks up with.
Yeah, and I really think Freddie just doesn't know how. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure he's a good shag. He's got a lot of experience, and he seems to... Everyone seems to want to do it with him.
And they want to keep doing it with him. So there's got to be something there.
Yeah. I don't think that Lacey loved him. She says she did, but I think Lacey
felt like she was deserved Freddie.
Yeah.
I think
both of us are going to have our princes. No, bitch.
I think that's what it is she thinks, well, her sister got a prince, she deserves a prince. Bex is getting a royal wedding, she deserves a royal wedding. She just thinks life is equally fair for her as it is for Bex. Now,
well, yeah, I mean, the party the horse racing when Lacey tries to get badges for Tony and his friends. Well, I'm with Bex. Why can't I have passes for my friends too? No. Honey. This is literally the royal box. Like, the queen has decided who's in here. You don't just get to bring up drug dealers.
No. It is very, it's very much Louisa and her sister. And this has to be a trope. Like the undeserving sister or whatever.
It is. I'm sure it is.
The selfish sister. But it's just, it's very kind of Bex to ignore all of her sister's flaws over and over again.
She tries.
So hard.
And I know that she didn't want her to, like, I really feel like she didn't want Lacey to have to stop hooking up with Freddie. She didn't want that. But she didn't want to be the bad guy. Right? But it really did hurt her relationship with Nick.
1,000%.
All right, so Bex's parents play a big role in this book.
God, I love her dad.
They live in Iowa. Bex's dad dies during her breakup with Nick. This ends up being the thing that brings them back together. Is this believable? Cliche?
Yes, it is very believable. Like, I honestly think that's the reason. I mean, Nick wanted to be there for her. He cared about her father. He was heartbroken, like, they wouldn't let him go to freaking Iowa for the funeral. Like,
he sent a wreath so big 3 people had to
carry it in. Right.
And then signed it Steve and family.
Like, it's very much a I've always loved you kind of thing. I missed you. And all I wanted to do was be with you because I knew you were hurting. It is.
I don't think that, like, it might have borderlined on cliche, but I really do think that they both loved each other.
They've always loved each other.
They needed to find their way back to each other, and that seemed like the appropriate time. Like, you know, maybe not while someone's grieving their dad, but, like, also showing up for somebody while they're grieving their dad. Yes, that's really important.
I don't think they ever stopped loving each other.
They love each other 100% the whole time.
The circumstances prevented them from being the couple they needed to be.
I feel like Nick prevented them from being the couple they needed to be.
Because of fear.
He had a fear of the media because his mom, which this story was inspired by Will and Kate.
Oh my God, this story is so Will and Kate.
Well, and the authors admit that they were inspired by Will and Kate to write this. And the difference is that Kate obviously is not American. Where Bex is. But
how funny though they predicted Meghan Markle, right? Like,
I know.
Like, an American coming in and swooping up a prince is fucking Meghan Markle. Crazy. Like, how the hell did they predict that shit?
But if you follow William and Kate's relationship, it was messy. It was over a very long point in time. And you can actually see pictures of Kate where she was hiding in the backseat under a blanket. Like, where she didn't get hit.
Well, and you can see in, like, early pictures, they have the eyebrow. I mean, even the thing about the eyebrows, right? Yeah. Kate, like, had those paper thin eyebrows.
Well, those were cool in the early 2000s.
Right, but, like the change of her appearance over,
she lost a lot of weight.
Well, and the way they changed the way she looked, like, they were subtle changes, but they matured her and made her more appropriate, right? And that is a thing the firm does in real life. They quaff you to be in this idea. Right. This is my assumption.
And I think we can be safe in that assumption because that's part of the reason why Harry and Meghan left. Like, they were trying to make Meghan into being somebody else. And what bothered Harry, was that that's what they did to his mom, and she ended up dead.
Right.
You know, and so this book parallels the William and Kate relationship, but instead of the Princess Emma, who is, basically Princess Diana.
Yeah.
Instead of her dying because the media hounded her.
hell, they even fucking mentioned Diana's haircut.
I know they do.
Right? Like,
they do.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That 90s feathered thing.
Short. Yeah.
I mean,
Which really looks like cute on people that have the same face shape as Diana.
Right. And instead of killing Emma, what they do is that the media drove her crazy.
Oh, they kill her inside instead.
Right.
Which is way worse, I think.
So Nick is really afraid to have a public relationship because he doesn't want the same thing to happen to her.
Right.
You're right. He needed therapy because just because that happened to his mom doesn't mean that's going to happen to everybody. And actually, in the book, we talk about how one of the characters talks about how Emma was already a little like.
Yes.
She maybe had some.
She was fragile. Yeah. She was. Wasn't the phrasing "broken bird"?
Yes, that's what it was.
Like something like that. That like Emma was always a broken bird.
Yeah, she wasn't. She wasn't Bex. She wasn't strong like Bex is.
No.
But I
don't see how her and Dick ever got together. Honestly, even the way like they describe Emma and they describe Dick back then, like I don't see those two being a pair.
Well, I mean, the same thing is true of Princess Diana and Prince Charles.
Oh,
a lot of people don't see what was up with them. Like, a lot of people didn't see it. I mean, they ended up getting divorced, which was a big deal.
But that's because he cheated on her with the nanny.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I love her parents. I love her parents. Fancy Nancy.
Nancy.
I love that she gets a bathrobe that says Lady Nancy. And Earl's like, after all, I am an Earl.
I love her dad so much. I love the baseball talk. I love that there's like
the Cubs fans,
the Cubs fans, and
the Americana of a coucherator. Like that is something that only could be made here. By the way, I did Google it. It's not called that, but there are now
coucherators.
There are now coucherators. It's basically like a little beer fridge inside your couch.
And what, Gaz wants one in British Racing Green.
They all want one. All right, so there's a lot of characters in this book. There are just a lot.
So many.
So I don't really want to unpack all of them, but I wanted to know who your favorite was, or if you had several favorites, who was your favorite?
So I like Scylla and Gaz alone, and I like Scylla and Gaz together. I think Scylla is a true friend to Bex from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And same as Gaz. Mm-hmm. Gaz is just... He is your best friend. Mm-hmm. He is instantly your best friend. And he truly cares about you. And I so would have been in that betting pool about them getting together.
100%.
100%. They 100%. Are obviously destined to be together.
They are going to either kill each other or fuck each other. There's no in between.
And you know what? It works for them.
Yeah.
It works for them.
They're also my favorite characters. And I have to tell you, so I lived in England for a semester in college. I was 21 when I lived there. And I lived on a floor there were 6 rooms on the floor. So it was me and 5 other girls. And one of my flatmates' name was Amanda, who's from Yorkshire and is a ginger-haired lady.
So she reminds you of Scylla?
She's so much like Scylla. It's not even just in appearance. Like, when I'm reading Scylla, I'm hearing my friend Amanda, who is still
amazing.
We still are friends on Facebook and occasionally chat there. Like, obviously we have different lives now because we live across the world from each other. But she's a mom. I'm a mom. Like, when we met, she was all of 19 years old, and like, she's Scylla. She's so much like Scylla. And Gaz just reminds me of like James Corden, but like 15 years ago. Like, I picture James Corden.
Like Doctor Who Corden, not TV Corden.
Yeah, exactly.
He's before he got Americanized.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, that's good. That's good,
exactly.
Actually.
And I just think, like, I love that they loved each other the whole time, but they just like waited for the right moment. And honestly, if Bex and Nick would have done that, they probably would have, we would have had
way better.
We would have had a book, though. But yeah, they're my favorite too. And I know she's not the most liked character, but I also really like Bee.
I like Bee. But
Lady Bollocks.
I like Bee because of how faithful she is to Nick.
Yes.
We all need a friend like that is ride or die.
Yes.
And while she likes Bex, her loyalty is to Nick, and her job is her mom was best friends with Nick's mom. She knows the truth. She knows what Nick went through. She knows.
And she's the only one, apart from Bex, that knows.
So, in B's defense, that's her guy.
Right.
She is doing what her mom would do for Emma.
Right.
She is protecting her friend. And at the end of the day, we all need that one friend. We need that one friend that is ours. Ride or die.
Ride or die. Yep. And I love the line where Bex says, well, or Bex just kind of is talking to B, and she's like, somebody had to pick Nick in the divorce. And she's like, well, most people had the courtesy to do both. And B's like, that's not how we roll around here. Like, he has been my friend since we were babies. Like,
and then like 10 minutes later, she catches her in the frickin' treehouse going at it.
with Gemma. With Gemma Sands,
yeah.
Which is the person that Nick lost his virginity to, who has also slept with Freddie, and both of them say, I wonder if we're the ones that turned her gay.
And Bex goes, that's not how any of this works.
Not how this works, guys. Why do men always think that it's their thing? No. But anyway, I really like B. I think she's...
Lady Bollocks.
Lady Bollocks. I think that she has a great sense of humor that is well hidden, and you get a lot
dry. More, it's fantastic.
Like when at Foxoween, when she's dressed up as
Marie Antoinette with all the slave boys
feeding them cake. You get so much more of B in the second book. Like her,
love B so
Gemma.
much.
You get a lot of them in the second book.
Yes, and you know what? I think we earned it.
We did.
We earned B in the second book.
When she gets caught with Gemma for the first time, she's like, I'm a very erotic person and I'm with a woman. Like, get over it. It's like...
No, leave us alone. I haven't seen her in 2 months.
Yeah.
Go away. We have shit to do. And it doesn't include you two.
Right. And then, of course, Freddie's like, maybe they need some help. No.
Absolutely not, Freddie.
It wasn't about you. All right, so we've already talked about Emma's mental health, but I want to know, do you feel like so what the family did is they kept the secret, right? Mm-hmm. They basically just kind of let the press believe that Emma was doing other things,
or they just unwell, or just taking a step back. Yeah,
they would include her in presentations by just saying things about her, but she wasn't ever coming to things anymore, and nobody actually revealed that she was mentally ill until Nick does it after he and Rebecca reveal that they're engaged. I mean, do you think the secret makes them bad people?
I think they were dealing with the times. I think if they had mentioned in the 70s and 80s when she did fall ill that this was what was going on, they would be calling for, like, they would be criticizing the Queen and Prince Dick and the damn, and, like, they would be murdered in the public eye. And they had to do what was best for the crown, and what was best for the crown was protecting Emma. And themselves. So, I mean, it's
I don't think that it necessarily makes them bad people, but it reminds me again of Red, White, and Royal Blue. Like, Henry wasn't allowed to be gay, right? Having that secret out would ruin
and they say something about that in this, right? The crown doesn't have time for homosexuality or something like that.
Yeah, they do talk about somebody can't be gay or something.
Or sexuality isn't a choice in the royals or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But I think that, like, I don't think it makes them bad people. And I actually don't even hate on Prince Dick, for wanting to have divorced her and moved on. Like, I mean, she's not
he deserves to be happy.
Yeah.
But I mean, if
I really don't judge them now, but I feel like now, here we are in 2022, and like, I feel like now these kind of causes, somebody famous or, royal having mental health issues and being honest with that, it would make so much movement.
Right. In the cause. Yes.
In the cause. Right.
But it just, I mean, while I think Richard does deserve happiness, I think he also needs to realize the situation he's in. He's in between a rock and a hard place, and he's never, he can be happy, but it's going to have to be in private.
And I don't think it's that he doesn't love her. I mean, he makes an incredibly intimate painting of her, and I don't mean
very
intimate
much so
naked.
It's just very romantic in the sense that you can see how much he still loves her.
He's poured his love into that painting, so he obviously has feelings. You can't do something like that without feelings,
right? It's just
yeah. I'm going to link this article below because the next thing on my list to talk about was how the parallels William and Kate and Henry and Meghan, or Harry and Meghan. I did it again. See, this is the problem with red, white, and royal blue. It totally fucked with me. Anyway, so Harry and Meghan, but I'm not going to, we don't need to talk about them anymore since we've talked about it a lot. But there's an article in which when the second book came out, our authors were interviewed and they talked about how interesting it was that like, they kind of predicted this.
Right.
And what it really was they just thought it would be funny to write a story.
And they just had no idea what was going on in the background. It's just funny.
They liked the idea of William and Kate, and then they kind of made it.
They made Harry. Harry was a helo operator in the real Marines, and Freddie is a helo pilot in here. I mean, and he's redheaded, and like.
I know.
It's just the parallels are hard to not see, man.
I know. All right, so okay. So we always talk about movies that were made on books when they have made them.
This almost was one.
This was almost one. Lauren Graham bought the rights to it, or her production company, or she was going to direct it or something. But it fell through.
The option did, yeah.
The option has lapsed now. But so that's not going to happen. So I want to know dream casting.
Oh, okay.
So I think like let's just go through the list and you can tell me who you think and we'll talk about it. So first, let's start with Bex.
Okay, so you and I have two different people on our lists.
Uh-huh.
I picked. I'm going to say her name wrong. Maya Mitchell from The Fosters.
Is she the one that's Australian?
Yes.
Okay, I know who she is. I needed a picture in my head.
Yes.
And I have Haley Lou Richardson, who's from 5 Feet Apart. They look alarmingly alike.
And they both can play older and younger. Mm-hmm. So I think both would be very good for this role.
Mm-hmm. I also think, I cannot think of her name off the top of my head. Hang on, let me look it up. Keep going.
I also had one more in mind. She's the daughter of the chick from Back to the Future. I know. That's
oh my gosh, we're about to say the same person.
You know what I'm talking about? Is her name Zoe? Zoe Thompson?
It's Zoe or Joe. It's Zoe Dutch Zoe Dutch.
Zoe Dutch. Yes, her.
Yes.
Oh my God, April, that has to stop.
That was exactly the other person I was thinking of. She's Leah Thompson's daughter.
Yes. From
the
Future, yeah.
And I think she would be another one. Like, I was kind of torn between her and Haley Lou Richardson. And
which they look very similar.
They all three look similar. So I think it could go either way. All right, so how about Nick?
Freddie Stroma from Bridgerton and Harry Potter.
Which one is he in Bridgerton?
Go Google his image real quick. You'll know who I'm talking about. As soon as you see him
beforehand, right?
You wrote Tom Holland, which I can see that too, but I think he's taller than Tom Holland.
Yeah,
and I think Tom Holland's too small.
Okay, so I know who this guy is based on his picture, but now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, you're probably right. Tom Holland's too small. What about the other guy from Bridgerton, the youngest brother in Bridgerton?
Which youngest brother?
Not the youngest brother, like the
one that will marry that Penelope's into.
Yeah, what about him?
I think his hair's too dark.
He is, but
it doesn't work for me.
Well, the other one I thought was Tom Eggleston. No, that's not his name.
Eccleston?
Maybe that's it. The one that plays in Bohemian Rhapsody. That's it.
Oh,
what's his name?
You talking about Rami Malek?
No, I'm not thinking of Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm thinking of the Elton John movie.
Oh, the kid from the Kingsman as well.
Yes. What's his name?
Elcott. Damn, what is his
Taron
name?
Egerton.
He's got a weird last name. Yes, he would be good. You know, he'd be a good Freddy.
He would be a good Freddy.
He'd be a good Freddy. He's got the personality for Freddy.
Yeah, he would.
For Freddy, I need Prince Harry doppelganger. I can't not picture Harry.
Yeah.
I need a Harry doppelganger.
So this person, Harris Dickinson.
I don't know who that is. I gotta Google him.
So he is from the newest. He is from the newest King's Man movie, which is the prequel, and he would actually be okay.
Oh, he's cute
too. He would be okay as Nick.
He'd look really great with red hair too, and he kind of looks like Harry.
Thank you. So
he kind of looks like Harry. That would work.
Him with red hair would do it, I think, as Freddy.
Okay, like Dove Cameron. I'm gonna give you a for that. Homegirl has had so much plastic surgery. She looks like a Barbie doll.
Yeah, but Lacey is a Barbie doll.
No. Ariel Winters.
Ariel Winters has too many dark features. Like
she's booby.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're going to come at me with Ariel Winters as booby, and you're not happy that Dove
Lacey is a natural beauty. She is naturally pretty. Dove Cameron is not naturally beautiful anymore because of all the plastic in her face.
All of these young Hollywood starlets have plastic in their face these days.
Okay.
I think she's Lacey. I see it to a T. But she actually might be too old.
Yeah. I don't know. They have to play all the ages, right? Because they start in college and they go. So they have to be an actor that can play young and old at the same time.
Right. All right. So Scylla. So obviously the one we were just talking about was Lacey, but like Scylla here, I put Florence Pugh because I just love her and I want to cast her all the things.
Scylla in darker hair like Maisie Williams.
She needs to have red hair. She's a ginger. Like I really secretly would cast Karen Gillian.
Gillian is exactly, but she's too old.
Right, but she's too old.
Okay, so we actually had a text argument about Gaz.
We did have a text argument about Gaz. Like, to me, he looks like James Corden 15 years ago. Like, James Corden's too old now.
Gaz is a personality. Gaz is a personality.
He is, but guys, go on Instagram and look up the model Adam Henry. He's American, so like he's not British. But if we could put a little red hair dye on him and give him a light ginger, well, he's already a ginger. Sorry, never mind. If we could just make him have a British accent, that's our guy.
No, okay, listen, hear me out. Jason, I'm gonna say his name wrong. Jacob Batalon from the Spider-Man films.
No.
Now I know. Yes. Okay. Hear me out. He has that ability to be humorous and serious.
But to me, he doesn't look anything like how Gaz is described.
He's not. He's described as round. That is the thing that's described as
No, he's not just round.
I understand the actor is Hawaiian and tan, and he looks nothing like a British man. But I am telling you,
like a British man.
But he just. It's the personality. It's the vibe. He's the vibe. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
And I'm telling you.
Okay, so I like my choices for B.
Sophie Turner, yes. I think that she could do Bitchy well as well. I think that's good. I don't know who Elizabeth Gillies is.
She was in a show on Nickelodeon called Victorious. She played a dark-haired girl, but she's on Dynasty, and she plays like this bitchy sister. And she would actually be perfection as B. Perfection as B, honestly.
Well, I mean, I can see it. I looked her up. I can see it. I put down Anna Taylor-Joy. She's from The Queen's Gambit, and she played in the new Emma movie. And, like, to me, that's B.
Oh, no. B has more severe features in my mind. Like, they're very...
She has very severe features.
Okay.
I don't know that she's I think she needs a little bit more meat in her because she's pretty skinny. And B is, in my opinion, I picture her more curvaceous.
Sturdy. Sturdy because she rides horses, right?
She's all the time. Yeah.
So
All right, Joss. So I put Lucy Boynton. She was in Bohemian Rhapsody. Yep. That's why I was saying that. She plays the wife of
she does.
Freddie Mercury.
And I picked Zoe Kravitz, which I think Zoe would really be fun in that role, just because I love Zoe Kravitz.
I don't picture it. I mean, Joss is wild, and anytime you want to picture wild, I guess Zoe Kravitz is a good call for it, but she's just not how honestly, the cast of this book could use some diversity, so having Zoe Kravitz in there might be helpful because everybody in this book is white. Like, everybody.
Right. And then for Clive, I think Reggie-Jean Page, which I'm saying his name wrong, and I'm sorry, from season 1 of Bridgerton, I think he would be excellent as Clive.
I don't think he could play young Clive, though. So
I think we would have to find a younger actor for him, but like current day and age Clive, where they're like engaged and they're going through all this, I think that man has a face for manipulation.
He does. I said Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's from the Kick-Ass movies, but he's also from the newest Kingsman.
Oh, he's a good looking boy.
He's exactly how I picture Clive.
I see. I because he's so like Weasley. I pictured narrow features, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody skinny and like streamlined.
No, you just need to see the new Kingsman movie and you'll understand why. He's Clive.
But this is a great book. I love this book so much.
I love it too. I don't really have anything else, and we hit the hour mark. We're a little over.
Let me go through my notes real quick on my phone. I don't think I have anything else I wanted to talk about. I love her dad. I think we covered that. Mm-hmm. Her dad's death was just
so sad. So very sad.
Okay, so...
Oh, I know what I wanted to say. There's one quote in here I wanted to say. Go ahead.
Bex is always fixing things for everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, that is a theme in here where Bex is a fixer. And it would have been really nice, and this actually gives us a bell. I needed to see more of that established in her relationship with Lacey, because they make it seem like Lacey and her have this great relationship, and then all of a sudden Lacey just turns into this spiraling piece of shit. And I think we needed flashbacks, just a few, or stories or something showing us.
You thought we needed more than what we got?
Yeah, I think we just need a little bit more of seeing Bex constantly coming to the rescue of Lacey and her self-centeredness. But
you wanted to ask the question if
about Clive.
Did Clive do this because of his jealousy of Nick, or because
of his love for
Bex?
I
honestly think it's all about Nick. And on page 433, when they actually are confronting him, he said, "Certainly it couldn't be to do with you, could it?" Then it says, Clive is vibrating with something I can only classify as the beginning of a tantrum. God, you're arrogant. You can't even fathom that you might have put a foot wrong. I'm sick of being the only person who isn't in your thrall. Sick of people wetting themselves just to stand 6 feet from you. What did you do to deserve it? What makes you better than any of the rest of us? I think that's the answer right there. That it really was about Nick.
And I think that starts, but I think so that is the end in the climax of Clive's rage. Mm-hmm. But I think the first tipping scale of that domino chain is when Bex pretty much dumps him. Yeah, pick Nick. I think it starts with Bex. I think
it started longer before Bex entered the picture.
I think she was just the tipping scale. I think she set him over the edge.
You could be right. This is my favorite quote of the book. This is not the life I would have chosen, but Nick would always be the person. And I love that line because that is how I felt about my time with Tom being active duty. It's not the life I would have chosen, but he is always the person.
Been the person. Yep.
Yeah. So I do want to say I have the paperback edition. I also have the ebook edition. The paperback edition has an extra chapter which is Freddie's side of the story.
Autumn 2013.
And that is Freddie's side of the story of what happened. So if you pick up the paperback edition, you can get that. The paperback edition of the Air Affair also has a bonus chapter, which is Georgina's story, which is Eleanor's sister. So it's really cute.
We didn't talk about Freddie's misnamed girlfriends. Falopia.
I don't know that we have time for this, Molly, but he had a lot of random misnamed girlfriends.
Santa.
He had somebody named Santa as his girlfriend.
Falopia. What was the girl he met on the tube? What was her name? Falopia.
Yeah.
There's and they're all like, he just picks girls that are
also. When is the prince riding around on the tube? He's not.
He's not. He's just being a smartass. He's just being a smartass.
All right, so next week we are reading this book, Leanne Mority's 9 Perfect Strangers. I started it today, Molly. Holy shit.
I can't wait.
We are in for a good one.
I can't wait.
I've only read one other book by her, and I really enjoyed it.
Pretty Little Liars?
No.
Not Pretty Little Liars.
Big Little Lies?
Big Little Lies.
I have read Pretty Little Liars, though, too.
Fuck's wrong with me?
Who cares? It's all good. All right, so that's it. We'll see you all next week. Bye! Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April, not those of anyone else. Today's book was The Royal We by Heather Cox and Jessica Morgan. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins. And music is Sleep Sweetly by Brigida. Don't forget to follow Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. If you would like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.